Hey everybody, Jen from Scrapping Under the Influence. Welcome back to my channel. I am here today with a brand new project for the design team for Doodlebug. This is their new Summer Fun collection, and I have done an 8x8 mini album with this. It is super packed. It has a 2-inch spine that I have laser cut the title into the spine. We've got a shaker on the front using the absolutely adorable, and of course they want to catch because shakers always want to catch, Bitty Bubbles and Fishies shakers that are new with this line. I've used some of the Chit Chat and odds and ends on the front. On the back I have another piece of the odds and ends, and this little guy is actually in, I believe, the Chit Chat. I don't remember if it was Chit Chat or Bits and Pieces, this little wave piece. When we open this up, I've got one of the Bits and Pieces tucked into the pocket. We have an acetate pocket, so if you choose to not use or make the insert, you will see all the way through with that adorable new I think it's Catch a Wave patterned acetate that still gives you that little ocean water effect back there if you don't want to put your insert. The insert is matted with the paper that matches that, and then I've used a tab from the Bits and Pieces. We've got odds and ends pieces here. This is one of the cut-aparts from the collection. There are 3 cut-aparts on one of the sheets that have these adorable little Polaroids that I absolutely loved. This is from the odds and ends. There is a magnet in here, and you can hear those shakers moving around in there. Every time I move this, you hear the little bitty bubbles slide because they are teensy glass bubbles. They are so cute. When you open this up, we have got lots and lots of flaps, which means there's lots of space for pictures. And then in here we've got, I've used Chit Chat on the large photo mats, and then this is a Chit Chat piece, Bits and Pieces and odds and ends. And this all closes up like so and like so. I didn't add extra photo mats on here, but you absolutely could, or any other embellishments on the tops here, just because I thought I liked the way it looked without them. Okay. When you go to the next piece, we've got a nice big picture spot and a cluster done with the flowers from the Bits and Pieces. This is probably my favorite page in this entire book. I don't know why. I loved the flowers in this one. So this one opens up. We've got another big picture spot here, 2 small photo mats there, and then this all opens up into essentially a split up single page layout. So again, we've used that cut apart and a cut apart, and we've got nice big photo mats and Chit Chat pieces, and lots of things there that you can add your pictures. On the next page, we've got another spot with 3x3 photo mats and another big spot for a picture there, and this opens up and you have more picture spots, and then you've got a nice big belly band to tuck extra photos into. Here we've got a tuck spot with a couple of photo mats, and then we've got flaps that each have a small waterfall, and then it opens up like so, and we've got a nice big pocket for photos, and I've got my extra cut aparts tucked in there. And this is all held shut like so. We've got another big photo spot. We've got 2 more pockets here, and a photo spot there. I've got one of the Bits and Pieces there only attached on one side, so it moves when you flip this up. And we have a pull waterfall hidden underneath. There is a magnet on here, but I don't think you really need it. Okay, and the last page, we've got some of our leftover acetate as a photo mat. We've got a lot of Chit Chat and odds and ends pieces here. This flips up. We've got photo mats. We've got another one that pulls out here. And then this opens up again, and we've got another nice layout spot in here. And finally, on the back inside cover, we have an acetate front accordion pocket. So that is my project. The tutorial will start next. There is a kit available for this in my shop. It will ship towards the end of next week. because I do need time to get these pieces cut. The kit will have the laser cut spine and your front cover with the shaker window cut. I also will have a cutting guide. I'm not sure about an SVG file at this point. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get one put together. But there we go. So let's get to the tutorial. Okay, so for your cover, you need 2 pieces of chipboard that are 8 by 8. One of them, unless you purchase the kit, if you purchase the kit, this will be pre-cut for you. And the matting for this will be pre-cut for you. If you did not, you will want to cut in a 3.5 by 6 inch window if you're going to do the shaker cover. It is absolutely optional. You don't have to do it, but if you're going to do it, you're going to cut it in 1 inch from the sides, so that'll center it at the 6 inches, and 1 inch up from the bottom, okay? So I've covered the back of that one with tape. I've covered the back of my plain 8 by 8 with tape. To wrap that, we need a 10 by 10 piece, and we want our 1 inch top spacer and our 1 inch cover spacer. These are available on my website, Clearview cover spacers. So I'm going to go ahead and get the tape off the back. Okay. I'm going to leave my 1 inch spacer on top. And 1 inch on the side. And then this one should fit exactly. If you want to double check, which really you can do this one without the spacer, you would just line it up so that the cardstock lines up with the opening in your chipboard. Oh my lord, why can't I? Oh, it's been a long weekend. I have accomplished a lot, but oh lord. Okay, so you can do it that way. If you're cutting this manually, then you'll still want to use your spacers to line this up, and then you'll cut this out afterwards. So you will notice if you have the kit, this does not have anything that's going to wrap around on the inside of this window. It's fine. You're not going to notice it. The Doodlebug shaker elements are thin enough that they don't need the extra space, so we don't need to really wrap that. And it will be just fine. So because I am using the pre-cut piece, I'm going to actually do this opposite of how I normally would. So I'm going to put my spacers in there. I'm going to put this in with it. Whoops. And then I can line this up on top. If you have the kit, this is going to be the easiest way to do this, because we're going to do the same thing with the spine piece that has the words cut into it. Down closer where I can see. Okay. All right, there we go. And that is in. Okay, so now, if you have purchased the kit, I swear you, I know what I'm talking about today. It's just not coming out of my mouth. If you have purchased the kit, you will have your spine piece with the word cut in. you will want to run tape around the letters, like I've done here, like you see on camera. If you have not purchased the kit, you will want a 2" by 8" spine, okay? If you purchase the cutting guide, I'm not sure if there will be an SVG with the cutting guide for this piece. I did this piece entirely in the Glowforge program. I did not do it in my normal SVG program. So the font may be slightly different with the SVG file. I'm not sure if I have this exact font in that. The program I used to create the SVG files. So again, this should fit. Actually, did I do this? Hold on, did I do this right? Let me think for a second here. Oh my gosh, so it would have been... Yeah, I did. So why is it like... Oh, because I did two. Okay, never mind. It's fine. It's literally me. Okay, so if you are just cutting this by hand, you're not going to have the words in there, obviously. In that case, your wrap for your spine is going to be 5 inches. You will have your top spacer and your spine spacer at 1.5 on the side. Because of how this is going to wrap, and we only have 1 inch on the edge here, with the words in here, it is only going to be 1 inch on this one side. Again, it's going to be easiest to line this up because it is cut out for you. If you have the kit, it's going to be easiest to line this up with just using that cutout to line it up rather than trying to use your spacers for the rest of this. So, and that's actually super easy to line up, okay? All right, so we're done with our spacers. I'm gonna move this out of the way. So I'm going to grab my scissors and my glue gun. Okay. So for this, you want to be careful so you don't pop your letters out. You're going to fold. It's like, where's my bone fold? It's not out, that's why. Fold and burnish around just like you would any other spine. You're just going to be mindful of those letters. And I meant to actually glue. So get some glue in there where anything is going to lift up. Okay. It will definitely be easier to do this prior to putting those down. That's entirely on me not paying attention. And honestly, if you wanted to glue down your entire hinge or spine, you could do that too. And that would work. Okay. All right. So where were we? Folding and burnishing. Now, okay, so you see how that overlaps just slightly? It's going to be fine because what we're going to do is you will have from your matting that's cut out. I don't remember if this one fits. No, we don't. That one does not fit. Okay. You will have this leftover piece. We want that blue that's on the back. Okay. So I meant to cut this ahead of time. I apologize. So I am just going to cut and I might end up adding this to your cut pieces because that would make it a little bit easier. Okay. So this you're going to glue down in here so that it shows through like that. Okay. So I'm just going to run glue around my outside edges. Doesn't have to be crazy. You don't want it to get in where you're going to see it through your letters. Okay, there you go. Yeah, sorry, I was trying to think if there was anything else that I'm not thinking of at the moment. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and miter, just like normal. Okay. All right, and then go ahead and wrap your top and bottom. Okay, and then you'll go ahead and burnish on this side like you normally do. Add your tape. Okay. This one we're going to do the same thing. Okay. So when this one folds over, it should run. It shouldn't over. What am I trying to say? It shouldn't come out over the opening for your shaker. Okay. miter, just like normal. We're going to go around our edges with the score tape. And again, if you don't have the kit and you're just following the tutorial and you choose not to cut your shaker in there, of course that makes this easier. And that's totally fine. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing with our other cover piece, just normal. You're going to fold the cardstock around. And miter. Okay, so then you're just going to wrap like you normally would. Okay. Of course, this is going to clog on me again. You know, I used this all day yesterday without incident. Didn't clog on me, nothing. Today, of course, because I'm recording, it's gonna clog. Of course, now that's going to be too much glue because that's how this goes. See? There we go. Too much glue. You know. Okay. I'm going to fix the glue. I'll be right back. Okay, I fought with the glue bottle. I think we're done fighting with the glue bottle for now, hopefully. I actually bought a new one of these the other day because my base was so gross and mine had never quite sat right on the base, and I don't know if that's part of my problem. You know, and I'd read a bunch of different things about like putting something underneath the little silicone pad to like pop it up, and that never really helped. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. So this one, like I said, you're wrapping this totally normally. Initially, I had the window on this much bigger, but aside from, you know, like the wrapping of it wasn't a big deal, but it was going to become a big deal when you went to attach your spine. So, depending on which way you want your letters to run is how you are going to determine which is going to be your top and your bottom. Okay, so I want my letters to run down. So that means the shaker opening is going to be towards the bottom. I'm holding it like you're seeing on the screen. Okay. And down that goes. Turn to the other side. We're going to do our other piece just like normal. It's got a little bit extra room to grab, but that's fine. That will not hurt anything. Okay, just using my fingernail to line that up. Drop it down. Okay. Turn it over and burnish and burnish. These guys are going to get covered up, so that's not going to matter. So our reinforcement piece is not going to come all the way across over here, unless you could center it up like you always do so that it runs across and then trim this out. Because we haven't put any acetate on there, that's actually how I'm going to do mine, just so I can show you how I'm going to do that. But you don't have to. You can just run it further across on the other side, and it will be just fine. Okay, so I'm going to flip that over. I'm going to grab my mat to stick underneath this, and then I'm just going to go along the edge of that opening, and I'm going to kind of angle my knife. Okay, so instead of going straight down, I'm going to kind of angle it. So I'm going a little bit back in underneath the chipboard. I don't have a good way to demonstrate that, unfortunately. So the best way I can describe it is just angling that knife. Okay. Okay. Ugh. All right. We are reinforced. So now I'm going to take my bone folder. We're going to crease and burnish that down. Figure out where my edge is. And then we're going to turn it over and pinch. Just set everything in the way it's supposed to. And there's your cover. Okay. Next up, you are going to take your plain acetate. Clear some stuff off over here. Can't tell if that's sitting better or not. I think it is a little bit. So maybe they made some adjustments to that. I don't know. I may have gotten a weird one. That's entirely possible. Move this out of the way. Okay. Your window is 6 by 3.5. We are going to cut this to 4. By 6.5. Okay. I'm going to cut 2 pieces that are 4 by 6.5. One of them you're going to set aside for right now. We're going to lay this flat. Take your 1/4 inch tape. You're going to go around the outside of your window, because the matting for this with the kit that is pre-cut will run right to the edge of your window. If you're cutting it yourself, cut your window. What you're probably going to want to do, use some cut it to your 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. Use some temporary adhesive, I cannot talk this morning, to adhere it down and mark where you need to cut that out, or use the temporary adhesive and your cutting mat and cut it while it's in place, and then pick it back up, put your acetate piece on, and then put your matting back on. There's the thing. Rather than make this harder than it needs to be, let's grab the tool that we have specifically for this. This is literally a vinyl weeding pen from Amazon. They're cheap. I can't find a wholesale source for them, so that's the only reason I'm not selling them. But there you go. Okay. So that's going to go down like so. Okay. On top of that, get a hold of it, is going to be this piece. And no, it does not totally. Did I cut this wrong? I think I cut it wrong. No, maybe I didn't. You know what? It's okay, because you can't really tell that that adhesive is there. I've got other adhesive, but it's not from that. It's from something else. So really, it's okay. I will adjust this so that that comes in all the way for your kits, so that that will not be an issue. Or I'm going to cut mine again. I don't know. I will do one or the other. I haven't decided yet. Anyway, so that will go on there. Okay, I'm not going to put mine on yet. You'll also have your little summer fun piece for your spine. Which, where did mine go? It's over here in the pile somewhere. Hold on. Okay, that one does go right up on top. Okay, so that one goes like so. Okay, again, I'm not putting this on just yet. And then your piece for this back side is going to be your seagulls. And again, I'm going to have to fix that one because I think I did the same thing on that one. I did. I don't remember why. I think I had a plan at the time as to why I was going to do it that way that clearly changed. But that's okay. So I'll fix that on the file. So that will go on like so. But first we need shaker fill. So let me get that together because I don't have that prepped ready to go just yet. I'll be right back. Okay, so shaker. We have the Bitty Bubbles and we have the fish. So I'm going to put my fish in first. I want to try to get a good assortment of colors because there's what? 5 different colors of fish. You want to make sure that your fish are spread out and not stacked on top of each other, because again, it is a fairly thin shaker. We don't want them on top of each other to start with and getting caught. I think that's probably good. And then I'm going to add add my bubbles. And I actually, before you do that, put your tape down. Totally should have put my tape down first. I didn't think about it. I have done enough of these that it's not going to be an issue for me, but you will want to put yours down first. Get your backing off your tape. Gotta get stuff off my fingers. Go ahead and get that down. Burnish it down. And there you go. And it does not matter how careful you are with your tape, you'll still end up with some that will kind of stick. That is totally normal. But you want to have it have movement. When it's laying flat, you want to be able to, you know, kind of see your pieces laying there. So that is good to go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get my inside elements ready to go, and I'll be back. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our hinge and pages. Literally, I took a break. I'm like, oh, I am prepped to do this. Clearly, that is not the case. Okay, for your spine, it is going to be 4.5 by 7.5. You're going to score every 1/2 inch on the 4.5 inch side. So 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4. Your page bases, you need 3 pieces that are 7.5 by 7.5, and you need 3 pieces that are 8 by 8. So you will notice on your cutting guide, if you have the kit or if you've purchased the cutting guide, that you'll use a lot of your offcuts from these two stacks for different elements of the book. So before you, and you should be doing this anyway, but before you cut into a new piece of paper, go through your scraps, keep them kind of organized so that, you know, if you need something that's, you know, 4 by 8 and you've got a 4 by 12 strip, cut it down to the 4 by 8 rather than cutting into a fresh piece of paper every single time. Because it is something I've seen people do at retreats and then they run out of paper and then you're using up your scraps. Okay, so your 8 by 8, you're going to score it at 1/2 inch, turn it, and 1/2 inch. We're going to do that on all 3 pieces. And half. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and miter the bottom corner of my pages. The last few projects I've done, I've tried to do pages where you can get them out of one piece that you're just folding in half. It wasn't going to work for this one, so. And that's fine, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But now I'm trying to remember if I miter on those little edges. I think I do. I don't know, it's been a minute since I've done one like this. Okay, we're gonna do a very slight miter on the upper part of that. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna grab my bone folder. I'm gonna grab my glue. And fold and burnish. You wanna fold and burnish from the middle out on your score lines every time, especially when we get to the hinge here in just a minute. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to attach this to the bottom. But what I want to look at first is if we do these down inside, it's going to cause it to like stick up. Okay, so we're going to do the bottom. Grab my scoreboard so I can use that to help me get this lined up in there and then burnish it down. Okay. And again, one more. Okay, set those aside for right now. Bottom corner apparently didn't glue on those two, so there we go. Okay. For your hinge, to make it super easy on yourself, you're going to turn it over bumpy side facing up, and we're going to mark which ones get glued together. You have a wrong measurement on your hinge. That should have been that should have been 4 inches, not 4.5. Oh. No. You gotta fix that. That's wrong. Supposed to be wider gussets. And I just cut it out of habit, the way I usually do. Okay, we got our page bases together. For your hinge, you need a piece of cardstock that is 7.5 by 4 1/4. We are going to score this at 1/2, 1, 1 5/8, 2 1/8, 2 5/8, 3 1/4 and 3 3/4. So this one does have a 5/8 inch gusset between the pages. Okay. So this one visually is very easy to figure out. Your 1/2 inch pieces get glued together. Your gusset is the wider piece. But to make it easy on ourselves, we're going to go ahead and mark it. I'm going to start in the middle. So we're literally going to fold this on that middle score line. Make sure we are lined up at the edges, and then you're going to burnish from the middle out. Okay? Fold it back. Middle out. Turn it over. Fold it back again. Middle out. Okay? Because this is a smaller hinge, now we're just on our 2 ends, but the same thing applies. Middle out. Turn it over, fold it back, middle out. Fold it over, middle out. Okay. And then when we glue, we're going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to start in the middle, get our glue, fold it over, make sure everything's still lined up and even. Burnish from the middle out, middle out. Fold it back and burnish it again. Turn it over, fold it back, burnish it again. This is just going to help your train your hinge to turn. It's going to ensure that you're going to have it nice and straight and even on both ends. And then we're going to do the same thing again. Middle out, middle out. Wipe up our glue. Turn it over, fold it back, middle out. Out. Turn it back over, fold it back, and again, middle out, middle out. Okay. All right, so let's grab our base. I want to see how this fits. Okay, I think I do want something matting that section. I think, okay. So our other little piece that's left from what we put underneath the words on the spine actually work just fine. So we're going to go 7 7/8. Just going to cut that whole thing off. And then we're going to trim that down to 1 7/8. Okay. So let's go ahead. And if you wanted to do the gulls up instead, you could, but we're going to do something different on this back, so it really isn't going to matter. Okay, let's go ahead and put our hinge on. So I'm just holding it in the middle. Outside edges, centering it up, and there we go. Okay. All right, so before I'm trying to decide how I actually want to do this, because where we've got a wider gusset between the pages, we've got some kind of were layered up a little more than I usually do. So I'm trying to decide if we want to put our elements on our pages and then put them in the book, which can sometimes be harder. However, since I think that is how we're going to do it this time. Okay, so we are going to start with the front of page 1. So this one is going to go several directions. Okay, we're going to start with 2 flaps that are 4.5 by 7.5. With the 7.5 at the top, you're going to score 1/2 inch from one end. To make it easy on myself, I'm going to score at 4 because this is 4.5. I'm going to do that on both of those. So when I was talking about going through your scrap pile, that's literally where these come from. Okay? And then you need 4 pieces that are 6 by 6. So again, we're scoring at 1/2 inch from the end. Okay, I am also going to grab my corner rounder. And go ahead and round my corners on all of my flaps as we go. Tell you what, little pieces from this thing are the ones I find everywhere, and they get underneath the glass mat that my chair sits on, and it drives me insane because then I have to pick it up, and they usually static cling to it. It's a whole thing. Whole crazy thing. Okay. All right. Actually, we need one more score mark on these 2 4.5 inch pieces. So we scored 1/2 inch, and then we need to go 5/8. That was the other one that I needed to change. Sorry about that. At least I figured it out before we went to glue anything in. So on the 4.5 by 7.5 inch pieces, we need an extra score mark in there. All right, so we're going to grab our page base because we are going to be working on this as we go. We are going to mark on here which way the top is because, and this is a large part of why I don't typically build my pages prior to putting them in the book, because almost, and I mean I've gotten better in the last couple of years, but it used to be every time I would try to do that I would end up with something upside down or turn the wrong direction or whatever. So few years, like 7 years ago, I did a baseball album with Cartabella baseball that is still one of my favorites. It's one that sits on the shelf that I can see when I'm sitting at my desk. And we're mitering these, by the way. I had these pages all designed, and I was building the pages before I put them in the book, and I was like, man, some of these elements are weird, because I literally turned everything the wrong direction. It was all turned sideways, and I was putting it on as if that were the top because the page bases were like the same size. It was frustrating to say the least. Okay, so we are going to miter at the top of our flaps. All right, so first up, these two are going to go out to the side. So we can go ahead and put these down. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of burnish with my fingers to start with. And get my glue on here. Turn it sideways, because at this point top bottom don't matter as much, but they will as we move through the book. Okay. And then again, because those 1/8 inch score lines, man, those can be a killer sometimes, to try to get them folded over and working the way you want them to. And if you do a lot of my projects, you're probably already good at doing that, because I do that a lot. Sometimes without really meaning to. And I think I just messed up. Hold on, let me think for a second, because the way I was going to do this, we needed ribbon, but I'm thinking the ribbon was going to go across, which is not ideal the way we've got this going. It's okay. You're going to skip the ribbon on this one. Okay, so once you get those in, open it back up. These are going to go like so, and like so, and in, and in. Okay, so it's one of those pages where you open it and it just keeps going and going and going. Okay, so I'm going to start down here on the bottom. And you of course can, get out your ruler and get it all centered and perfect. I will eyeball it because it's handmade. It's fine. Which is another thing I've seen people at retreats, or when they're following along with the tutorial, that I've seen a lot of people get frustrated with, is something not being perfect. And honestly, it's handmade. It's fine. It's not going, if it's not perfect, it's not perfect. It is not the end of the world. Okay? And like I said, I've seen it a lot at different retreats and things. People getting frustrated because, a flap's not quite right, or you've had to do some sort of weird surgery to your book, as I always called it, to fix it. Okay, so that all goes in like so. And I don't know, where's my ribbon? I don't know if, well, except I just glued those flaps on there. You know what, we'll figure this one out in a minute. I'll come back most likely with a magnet on this. I'm just trying to decide if I need the big ones or the little ones. Because it would most likely be the big ones. Just because you're going through several layers there. Make a note. All right. So what I'm going to do is grab my score tape. Somewhere, there it is. Open this up. We're going to go down to this first layer in the middle. I was like, I just had that magnet. What'd I do with it? Okay. Well, or is this going to work? Hold on. No, that is not going to work, is it? Yes, it will, because what we're going to do is do a cut apart. So for now, we're going to drop that down. I'm going to tape it down on one side just to keep it in place. But what we will end up doing is using one of the cut aparts or an odds and ends piece or something and sandwiching this between it, so you'll have an element that lifts off to open up your page. Okay? Which I think was what I had planned originally, and then I decided ribbon, and of course then undecided it just now. Oh my gosh. I clearly didn't get enough sleep last night, because all of this made perfect sense last night. Alright, back side of page 1. We have got flaps. So the first one we're going to work with is 7.5 by 8. With the 8 at the top, we're going to score this at 1/2 inch and at 5/8. Okay, your next flap is going to be 5 by 7.5. With the 5 inch at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. Okay. Next one is going to be 5 by 12. With the 12 inch at the top, you are going to score at 7.5. Okay. You're going to turn it, and you're going to score at 4.5. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is on this, from this 7.5 out, we're going to cut this piece out. Okay. So I'm going to miter in, and then I'm going to cut along my score line. Okay. Now, I'm going to fold this over. And burnish that down. I may need to take just another little sliver off of that. So what I'm going to do is fold in my tab. Ooh, don't do that. Maybe it'll be okay. Hold on. No, that's tight. Okay. Because we don't want it running into that tab. And I think I'm going to grab, actually, the paper trimmer to do this, to make sure that I can take just another little sliver off of this where I want it. There we go. Much better. Okay. And that should fold in now. Okay. Perfect. So, what is going to happen? Okay, yeah, I folded my stuff on the wrong side. It's fine. It'll still work. I just need to turn them over and burnish them the other side. Okay. Or do I? No, I don't. They weren't right. You know, if I didn't have to have this done, I'd be fine. I would not be, like, doing so many weird things right now. So I will just apologize profusely right out the gate, because clearly I'm stressed. Oh, this one I do need ribbon. Okay. So we do need, on this side, you're going to glue this flap to this side. Okay. So this will open up like so. We're going to miter our other flap and our other flap. Okay, the one with the gusset is going to go down first. Okay, no. Sorry, the one with the gusset goes towards the outside edge of the page. But before we do that, close this up. And we don't need a ton of the ribbon, just enough to tie a bow. Yes, okay, no, we're good. Sorry, I had to think that through for a second. Because it's going to go on the outside edge of this flap. And I forgot to round my corners. On this one. We're not going to round everything on this other one. Okay, so this is going to go over here. Like so. That doesn't feel like it went all the way out. Okay. This one will go at the top. So this one will go up here. You're going to want to fold this in. Make sure this one will fold down and that this will fold in. Okay? So the way I'm going to do this is we're going to put glue on this. I'm going to turn this around, line up, and I'm watching where my score lines are. Okay? So while it's wet, I'm going to close that one in so it pushes it over. Just a sliver off of this, which is what I was afraid of, but I wasn't positive. So I'm going to take about a 1/16 of an inch off of that. And of course it moved enough when it was no glue. It didn't look like it needed it. So double check that before you glue yours in. Okay. And there we go. Now we're good. So this will come in like this. This one, I'm going to grab another piece of tape. And this will go right here on this outside edge. And then we can just trim that in half. And we've got our bow. Unless you're me and your bow challenge, you probably just cut this too short for you to fat finger it. But most of you can tie bows. It's literally a me problem. Okay. So front, back. Okay. Page 2, front. Okay, front of page 3, I've got my page base marked so I know where my top is. You are going to have a flap that is 7 by 7.5 with the 7 inches at the top. You're going to score this at half an inch and 5/8. Okay. You need a piece that is 7.5 by 4. With the 4 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and 5/8. And then you're going to have a piece that is 8.5 by 3. This is going to be a belly band. You're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 8 inches. All right, so this we are going to take, we're going to miter the ends for the belly band. And fold and burnish. Why am I working on top of the scoreboard? Okay, this is going to go just like so. So we can go ahead and put that on. And center it up. These, of course, we can't put on until after this is matted, which is fine, so I'm just going to leave those for a second. I'm going to take my ribbon, and I don't think I have the right piece. Okay, so we need ribbon on either side. And then you'll go ahead and, that's not, this is what I want. We're going to go ahead and miter. And around the corners. Burnish. I'm just going to do it with my fingers. It'll be fine. So the bigger flap is going to go to the outside of the page. Like so. Outside of the page. That's going to come over like so. This one's going to come across the other direction. I think actually that ribbon's supposed to go on this. So I'm actually going to pull that up and move it out of the way for a second, because that is not where that needs to go. Saying hello, or feed me is more like it. Okay, so this is actually going to go on here. So I've probably cut my ribbon too long now. So, you know, one extreme to the other, because that's how this goes. But I think this is the only other place we're actually using the ribbon, so it'll be fine. Okay, and on the back side of this page, we've got some kind of fun elements, I think. Okay, so we have a pocket that is 4 by 8.5. The 8.5 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, and at 8 inches, yes, and then at 1/2 inch from the bottom. And that just went totally crooked on me. Okay. We have a tuck spot that does not need matting. That is 5 by 1.5. We have an insert that is 5 by 7 that also does not need matting. We have 2 flaps that are 4 by 4 1/4. So, hold on. With the 4 1/4 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. And 1/2 inch. And then you need 6 pieces that are 3.5 by 4. These are going to be a waterfall that are going to be on top of these flaps. Okay? So with the 3.5 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. Or in my case, 3 inches. Alright, because this is a waterfall, these do not need mitered. I am going to corner round, just because I do want them corner rounded. But, actually no I'm not. But if I want to, I can come back and do that before I mat everything. Okay, so the 2 4 1/4 by 4 inch flaps, we are going to go ahead and miter those. I may have done this wrong. I did. Is anyone surprised? Not me. Okay. We are going to do this a little differently than I planned. Okay. So you've got your flap. Take first of your waterfall pieces, and it's going to go towards the outside edge where your tab is. So my tab is folded in, that's going to go right there. Open it up, grab our next one. And again. Okay, our last one is going to go on the opposite side, so not technically a waterfall, almost a waterfall, but not quite. Clearly the math did not math for me today. Okay, so that's going to go like that. I'm going to do the same thing on the other one. So this time, with this flap facing to your right, is where you're going to start. And across. That one you could flip it back the other direction, but we'll end up matting all the way across underneath this. Probably white photo mats, I'm not honestly sure yet. But it will be cute. Okay, so those are both ready. Pocket, we are going to go ahead and miter. Fold and burnish. grab our page base. Put this down like so. Turn this sideways. And we'll get this flap on over here. So these should fit where this is going to touch the top of the pocket, okay? And same thing on the other side. Like so. These will meet in the middle, so they'll open up, and then open up again. The tuck spot piece will go across the bottom here after it's matted, and then this will sit in there matted to hold everything closed. So I'm going to tuck both of those in here, and what I'm going to do, since we're still going to have to put this in the book, I am going to put my paper clip back on here. Just on this, not the whole thing. What did I just do? No, I'm good. Okay. Had a moment of panic there that I just did this wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. Okay. So that one is good to go. Last one. Okay. So there's our front there. Okay. Front of page 3. No, this is not it. Front of page 3. You are going to take one of your pieces of acetate, which I guess because I haven't done the front inside and back inside cover yet, you haven't cut this yet. So the way you will cut your acetate, you will start by cutting a piece off of this very top that is 4.5 4.5, okay? That will then get, so 4.5 high. So when I say high, to make sure your waves are going the right way, you're gonna cut 4.5 off of here. Set it aside until we do the inside cover. For the back inside cover, you're going to take the remainder and you're going to cut it at 7 inches, okay? And then cut that to 7.5, or I'm sorry, to 7, okay? That will leave you with this piece over here, and then eventually when you cut the other piece, it'll leave you with this piece on the top, okay? So this 5x7 piece is going to be an insert. So we're going to set that aside. For this, we need get back to the front with my notes. First off, we need 2 flaps that are 7.5 by 4 3/8. We are going to score at 1/2 inch and 3/8. Okay, so 4 3/8 by 7.5, 1/2 inch, 5/8. Okay, on those, they're gonna face each other. Okay, like so. You're going to do some little kind of belly bands almost that are going to sit across the middle of the page, and you will slip a 4x6 in to hold the page closed. Okay. In this case I have two 4x6 because my notes were wrong, but it's okay because we can get two of them in there, so that's what we're going to do. Okay. However, we cannot put these down until these are matted. Okay. So what we're going to do is get these in the book, get the other ones in the book, and then our little mini belly band pieces that sit in the middle we'll do after the fact. Okay. We will go ahead and score those. So for the front, they are 5 1/8 by 1 1/2. Score 1/2 inch and 4 5/8. Okay. Your other two flaps are going to be 4 1/4 by 7 1/2. You're going to score at 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. Whoops. Your finger doesn't get in the way. The little belly band pieces for that are going to be 6 by 1 1/2, and you're going to score at 1/2 inch and 5 1/2. 1/2, 5 1/2, which cannot be right. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Never mind. I'm second guessing myself again. Okay. So let's grab our page base. The two pieces that we just scored that do not have the 1/8 of an inch gusset, we are going to take a sliver off of the end. So like about a 1/16 of an inch. Maybe a tiny bit more than that, because that did not seem like enough. Okay. I should have cut them both together on the big trimmer, and I didn't. I will regret that, I'm sure, because it would help if they were actually straight, huh? Oh my gosh. Seriously, you guys. Okay. There we go. And they are good enough. Okay. Top of the page. One is going to go at the top, one is going to go at the bottom. Okay. I'm just going to kind of center it up because we did take some off of that width to ensure that our other two flaps that are going to go the other direction aren't going to run into these. Okay. All right. So I'm going to open that back up. I'm going to miter the other two flaps. And then to ensure that I get them in the right place, I'm only going to fold the 1/2 inch score line. We will fold the other piece, the 1/8 inch score line, after. Okay? So, we're good. Okay. Just questioning my sanity again there for a second. Okay. So this will go all the way at the top. I'm sorry, not the top. The top, the way mine's sitting. It will go all the way to the outside edge, okay? These should fold in. Once you get that in there and burnish down, then you can fold back the other score line. So I'm just using my fingernails to like force it over, and then once it starts, then it's easy. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay, so these fold in, these fold out over the top. Okay, so I'm going to take all of my little insert pieces for this, and I am going to clip them back together and put the note on them and set these aside. Okay. Okay, so backside of page 3, we have 2 flaps that are 4 3/8 by 7 1/2. With the 4 3/8 at the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch and 5/8. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and miter both of those. All right. You're going to do 2 pockets that are 4 1/2 by 4 3/4. With the 4 3/4 at the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch and 4 1/4, turn and score 1/2 inch. Okay, that one's scored, this one is not. So 4 3/4, so 1/2 inch, 4 1/4, turn it, and then 1/2 inch from the end. Since these are pockets, I'm going to go ahead and miter those as well. Okay. We have a flap that is going to be 8 by 4 with the 8 at the top. And miter this one. And then we are going to do a it's either going to be a push waterfall or a pull down waterfall. The basis is the same either direction. So this is 9 by 6 with the 9 inch at the top. We are going to score at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/2, 2, and 2 1/2. Okay, and you need 5 pieces that are 4 by 6. So I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish. Now we're going from the middle out. And really I should have started at my last score line in there, the furthest down, to ensure everything stays nice and straight, but it will be fine. Okay. Alright, so then I'm going to push it back up. We're going to start with our first flap. And we're going to do it right up to the edge of the fold line. Okay, go to your next one. Make sure everything is nice and straight. It's supposed to be. There we go. Okay. And the last one. All right. This is most likely going to be a pull down waterfall because that's going to be the easier way to go. This will not go in until this is matted, but the rest of it can go on. So our long flap is going to go from the top down. Okay. So I am going to just center that up. Okay. We have the two flaps that are going to come in from the side. They each have a pocket at the bottom. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish. We are going to attach the pockets before we put this in the book. So it's going to go all the way to this bottom outside edge. Same thing on the next one. And we'll go ahead and put these on the page, and we will get our pages into our book. So flip this up. You're going to fold only the first score line. We are not going to fold the 1/8 inch one yet. And go ahead and put this in. I think that was supposed to have an extra score line as well, but you know what, it'll be fine because we can always just put it to the inside and it will be just fine. Except that's not what I wanted to do, so I may have to fix that. Back to get our gusset. And this one doesn't want to do it for me today. So what else is new? Okay. So this one, we're going to try and enable. I can't believe that just worked. Okay, that on the cutting guide, we'll have the gusset on the cutting guide for that one as well. Okay, so those will open up, your waterfall will go in there, and we are ready to put pages in the book. So let me get set up for that, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I have fixed the matting. It is now what you will be getting in the kit if you have purchased the kit. Or if you do purchase the kit, that is. I'm backing off my tape. So where the acetate is that you're not seeing, I did add some tape there to get everything stuck down where it needs to go. I'll go ahead and get some glue on the back side of the cardstock for everywhere else. Okay. And this will now line up exactly on the edge of the opening. Hopefully my head wasn't too far in the way right there. So I'll make sure I was lined up right. Okay, so there we go. All right, so front and back inside cover. But before we do that, we are going to go ahead and put our pages in. So I have now, new in the shop for the last couple of weeks, 5/8 inch hinge spacers. Okay, so these are for 5/8 inch gussets, which is what we have done here. So I'm going to slide those on. To use any of the page spacers, no matter the size, I have 3/8, 1/2 inch, 5/8, and 3/4, because I actually had a couple of people request 3/4 inches, which is insane to me because I can't imagine what you'd be putting on a page that you need that much space between the pages. But that might just be lack of imagination on my part. Okay, so we are going to do our middle page first. Okay, I'm going to tuck this ribbon up underneath here out of the way instead of trimming it off because I don't want to trim it just yet. Okay, I'm going to open this up. What we're going to do is hook this onto the bottom and just set this down on top. We are only putting adhesive on this corner and this corner, and then we will pinch it and hold it and give it a minute to dry. Okay? So there and there. I'm going to slide this on. Keep that open so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay. So this is going down over the end of the hinge, and we're just going to hold it. Okay. This is all the way down, touching the top of the spacer. The spacers are 1/8 of an inch thick, so this will keep your page the perfect distance from the hinge so that your pages turn without catching. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to hold it. I'm going to get the other corner. And I'm going to get back here and here. And actually, I'm going to get all the way down this guy, because that's easy to get to, and I can hang on to it while it dries, and I can burnish it without having to lay the page flat. Okay, so we are burnishing the bottom, we are holding the corners, because after we get all 3 pages in and we slide our spacers out, that is key. Do not try to pull them up over your page, you will break them. Slide them out, and then we can lay them down flat and get the tip of the glue in where we have not gotten the glue already. Okay, so because we've already matted the pages, not matted, put our elements on our pages. I cannot talk today, I'm telling you guys, like, it's just, yeah, it's been a day. I totally do that wrong. Oh my god, I think I did. Because that should be the side. Which means, now this side is okay. This side, technically, those flaps went on wrong. But you know what? It'll be fine. Actually, it'll be fine. because we haven't put our waterfall in there yet, so that much is okay. This will actually be okay. You know what? It's fine. Okay. What I was starting to say, the reason because we've already put our elements on our pages, so they are a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier than we normally would do. That's why we're starting in the middle. We only have the three hinges, so it's not, you know, too far out of the ordinary. Okay, so I'm going to do my back one next. Same thing again. I'm just going to get glue on those corners. Again, I'm going to hook, and I know you can't see that, I apologize, but I am just pinching my bottom corners again, just like I did on the page before. I'm just going to hold that for a minute or two, give it a chance to set up, and then we will open up and do the inside two corners. Okay, so I'm going to open this up like so. I'm going to come in here, get glue there, whoops, glue down there, sorry, I know that just fell over, you can see what I was doing. Okay, and again, we're going to do the same thing. Alright, now we are on to our last one. And again, we're going to open this up. I'm going to get my glue on those corners. Make sure I don't get the ribbon in there. And get those in and pinch. And hold it. Open that up. Again, pinch and hold. And kind of burnish my bottom part of it there. And give it just a minute, and then we'll pull our spacers out. Your spacers will end up covered in glue. It really doesn't matter. It does not affect how they work. So I'm going to carefully slide those out, like so, and then I can lay this down. So I'm going to lay the back page back, I'm going to lay the front page front, and then the center page can go either direction. But there you go, that's how you use the spacers. And since they are the new bigger spacers, with the bigger pages like this, that will be incredibly handy. All right. So now, all you're going to do is come along here with your glue and get a line of it inside, and then press it down. Which I'm opening this one up so I can really get in here and burnish that down. Make sure I don't have anything leaking out on the side. Back my other direction and do the same thing in here. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I do not want glue on my ribbon, but it's okay. continue on through and get other pages. And just applying pressure to get that glued down. The other direction. And again. This has all been you know, just kind of a learning curve. I had designed the spacers originally honestly, like when I first got the small Glowforge, the little Aura, which is awful. Don't get it. I'm just telling you right now. It's very, very limited in what it can cut. But that was one of probably the third thing I cut with it, because I'd had the idea kind of floating around in my head for a while. And since I finally had the means to try it, I did. And it has taken, you know, a little bit of trial and error to figure out the best way to use them. And this two-step method to get these in here does seem to work best. Okay, and the last one. Flip those the other way, didn't I? Okay, yeah, I had that back page all screwed up, but that's okay. Because that's the thing. Any of these page elements, you can put them on any of the pages. So did that one shift? Gosh, it totally did. Okay, well, I will be fixing that one here shortly. Yeah, any of the page elements can go on any of the pages. Most of the time I don't do my projects where they only work one direction only, okay? So just something to keep in mind if you want to do something a little bit differently. I've lost my train of thought now. Front and back inside covers. I knew there was something we were trying to do, and this is the whole reason we were going through this. Okay, front inside cover. We are going to do a pocket with acetate. You're going to use the cute little wave acetate, okay? So you will see it from the front. However, we also are going to put a photo mat in this pocket, so you could do it in such a way you would see the photo mat or a photo instead of the pocket on the other side, okay? So what we need for this is my notes first off. Okay, you need two pieces that are 4.5 by 1, and we need to score these at 1/2 inch on the 1-inch side. Okay, you need a piece that is 7 by 1, again, score it at 1/2 inch on the 1-inch side. We're going to fold and burnish. Okay, I'm going to miter. Am I going to miter? Hold on. I haven't done one this way for a while, so I have to think for a second here. Because the other thing I want to make sure is that I did this wide enough where yeah, we're good. Okay. We are not going to miter. What we are going to do is take our score tape, and on one side we're going to add tape for the acetate to attach to. I am layering this because I don't know if I have any 3/8 inch score tape. If you've got 3/8 inch, use that instead. Okay. So there is a blue side, there is a more white side. It's going to be hard to see on camera. In person, you can tell the difference, okay? I want the blue side facing up, and we're going to go ahead and maybe backing off of our tape. Oh my gosh, seriously. Okay, so you're going to center up your acetate. It'll run exact side to side. Push it up against your score line, your fold where you folded, and then fold this over. Okay, and burnish it down. Okay, there's half your pocket. We're going to do the same thing on the other two pieces. As far as matting this goes, you honestly could just leave it. It would be fine. Or you can use border strips, you can use just leftover scraps, you know, maybe your solid scraps, something like that. You know, whatever you want. I honestly don't know which way I'm going to do mine at this point. I will figure that out as I am actually matting and decorating, which is a very slow process for me usually. There's a reason I don't do it on camera, because it just takes me a million years. Okay. So now we have our little tool in hand as opposed to trying to do this with my fingernails. Okay, we're going to do the same thing again. You are going to open that up. We're going to align it in that top edge and then fold this over and down. So we do not have a pretty corner, it's fine. And that's why I'm saying if you wanted to use a border strip or something along the bottom and leave the sides as is, you could do that, and that would work as well. Okay, so again, line it up at the top, over and down. Okay, so that is your pocket. You may want to, on these bottom corners, after it's assembled, very carefully miter. The bottom flap can come up and be a little bit bulky on this one, because if it kind of pooches out a little bit, it'll be fine. And then I am going to miter on my top as well. This, we are just going to glue right here so that the bottom of this is even with the bottom of the window, and then it should have about 1/16 of an inch side to side where you're going to see that underneath. Okay, so I am going to do glue on the bottom only to get this positioned, and burnish that down. And then come back in and get our sides. Okay. And there you go. Front inside cover element is in. I have my insert for this. My insert is 4.5 by 7. Should, I may need to take 1/8 of an inch off of this because, oh no, there it goes. Okay, Yeah, it's tight. I'm going to take a little bit off this, but that will go in there. Like I said, you can mat it with the fish, you can leave it. You would see all the way through inside the album if you don't put the mat in there, but you've got that option where you can mat this with like the fish paper and put it in there, or the little sea creatures or something, and that would look really cute. Okay, back inside cover, we are going to do an accordion accordion pocket with an acetate front. So this is your 7x7 piece that we talked about a few minutes ago. The back inside cover piece is 10 by 10.5 with the 10 inches at the top. We are going to, well, no, we're not going to start on that side. We're going to start on the 10.5 side. And we are going to score at 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch. And then we are going to score at 7 3/4. Oops. 7 3/4. Let's get it in the right place. And 8. Because we don't want a super big flap on it, because we don't want to cover up our acetate, but we do need a flap. Okay. You're going to turn it so your 1/2 inch and your 3/4 score line are at the top of your scoreboard. Your 10-inch side is up. We are going to score 1/2 up to this score line. Okay, so we've got 2 score lines here to this score line, first one. 1 inch, same thing, we're just going to go up to that line. 1.5, we're going to go all the way up, because this whole, where did my pencil go? This whole area, so we've got a score line here, we've got a score line here, we've got a score line here. This whole area is going to get cut out, and it's going to be the same thing on the other end. So I'm going to start from the 10 inch, and I'm going to go 9.5 up to the score line, 9 up to the score line, 8.5, whoops, if I can do straight, all the way up. Okay. So you've got your score lines. Down here, you're going to cut straight in, turn it, and cut straight down. Okay. Same thing on this side. We're going to cut up. And across. Okay. On the bottom, we are going to cut up to the second score line and across at an angle, like so. Okay. So that's what was there with the score line. So on that top edge, you're going to cut an angle. You're going to miter, not super aggressively, but enough that you get a miter, and then cut the bottom off. Okay, so here's our base for our accordion. Okay, I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to fold the furthest line in and burnish from the middle out. Fold it back out, fold in the other outside edge, middle out, and then fold the entire thing back. Middle out, middle out. Okay, that should help it keep it from like pushing in, because accordion pockets tend to try to push into the middle, which can be very frustrating. And sometimes it just, despite your best efforts, that's just what happens, and there's not much you can do about it. Okay. Fold this back out. Fold up my bottom piece here. Same thing, we're going to fold and burnish out. burnish out. And the top, same thing, fold and burnish out. Fold and burnish out. Okay. I can tell right there I did a horrible job trimming this. Alright, so now I've got to have 3-inch score tape here somewhere. I only have this, and I don't know that I like this kind, but it's okay. I have a whole roll of it, we're going to use it. Okay. So I'm going to put that on the bottom. And I'm going to put it on this outside edge. Okay. If you have red line tape that you would prefer to do this with, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to take our little acetate piece. We're going to find the more blue side, and we are going to attach it down here on the bottom just like we did with the one on the front. So you're going to get your backing off, you're going to push it up to the score line, make sure it's side to side is good, and fold it over. Okay? Easy peasy. Now, where it gets trickier is, actually that needs to go to the inside, doesn't it? Can it go to the outside? Hold on. Oh, it can. Okay. Normally, I would have it go to the inside, but this is actually going to work out better, I think. So, what I'm doing is the first 2 pieces are going to the inside. I'm going to fold this up and over, push the acetate into the score line, and then fold this over. Okay, I think that's actually going to work better than what my original plan was. So, okay, so again, these 2 are going in. Get your top. Okay, those 2 go in. Top corner gets lined up at the top. Push in to the score line, and then fold this over and push it down. Okay? And there you go. Now, the other thing that we need on this is going to be, how do we want to close this? I think we're doing ribbon on this one too. And that's where I'm thinking I need to fix my one ribbon that's like screwy. Because by the time we get this on here, get our other piece hooked up from the bottom, I think it's going to be short and it's going to drive me insane. But part of this, as I design these, I don't know for sure how much ribbon I'm going to need. So mine tends to get cut in different lengths than what you would have on yours, because you will get like the uncut length, so you can do it however works best for you. Okay, the other half of this is going to go on the back side, so we're going to line it up, and that's just so that yeah, these are way too long, but like I said, I am guessing when I start cutting my ribbon to do the tutorial, because I don't typically do. Okay, so I have gotten some matting on what should be the front of page 3. I figured out what I did when I marked which way was up. I had the page turned wrong. So that was not in fact up, because this should be turned. So when I put it together thinking that was up, it would have gone across this way, and then you open it up and then this one would go this way. But because I did not do it correctly, mine is going to go the other way. So that may be fine with you. It's entirely up to you. It's your project. But either way, the process for attaching these is the same. So, because I'm starting with my one that goes sideways, which I could still do it the other way, except see how my waves run that way? I don't want them running this way because that doesn't make sense to my brain. So we're gonna switch it around. Not a big deal. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is first off make sure that this fits around my piece, which it does not. So I'm going to take just a tiny bit off of this one. This one I knew was going to be needed to fit a little bit tighter, so I purposely did not make these little belly band pieces bigger. Just a tiny bit more off of that. But what I was saying is I purposely did not do these belly bands bigger than this piece because, well, number one, it was supposed to be on the inside, so if it did slip out from its belly band, it would get caught on the flap above it. But also because it is acetate, it is going to be slipperier. So you don't want it to fall out. So I'm going to center up on here and on here, approximately where it should be. I'm going to make a very light pencil mark on one edge. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and get my glue, and I'm going to put that right up to my pencil mark. Make sure I'm straight and put that down. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing on the top, and then the two that we do on the inside of this will be the same. If you didn't want to do the two on the inside, you absolutely don't have to. I just thought it might be kind of fun to have that same element hidden inside as well. But if you don't want to do the one inside, you don't have to. Okay, so there's that. So then the inside pieces, and I don't think I had you miter these when we scored them, but you'll want to miter them. Where's my... Oh, there they are. I was like, I had the 4x6. Okay, so this one is slightly bigger, which is fine. So we don't need to trim anything. This is just a 4x6 mat. We're going to just put it in here just like this and do the same basic process. We're going to kind of center this on the page, the belly bands themselves, center them right to left on each flap, and then kind of center them top to bottom and do the same thing again. I'm going to make a very light pencil mark where it needs to go. Pull that out. And then I will start by just barely covering the pencil mark and then lining up side to side. Okay? And again on the other side. This is one of those fun closures that I literally forget about every time I'm making a book. I always think, oh no, I need magnets. Oh no, I need ribbon. No, there's lots of other ways to do it. It's just not something that I think about every time. I don't know why. I don't know why. But, so then those will slide in. Get caught on the edge. Doesn't help that they're not. Ooh, and then that one's going to pop off because of course it is. gonna hold that one for a minute. Bump the camera again, I think I did. Yep, there we go. Okay, we're gonna try just one. There we go. And then we can do our second one. Okay, like so. Close this one up. And this one will come up through like this. And of course you can decorate the insert. And this is kind of like a catch-22. Like you want to miter those tabs, but at the same time when you do, then they're further down in and they want to catch when you're sliding your mat in. There we go. Okay, there we go. All right, the other piece, and I've started kind of matting here and there. So like did the flamingos, I've got my white photo mats ready for that one. Is this one. So this is the one where we're going to do the 3 little tuck spots. And the idea behind those is there's the cut apart that looks like little Polaroids, which they're actually bigger than this. So this may be not where I want to do this. We're going to 86 the tuck spots because I thought those were smaller. I hadn't pulled out my paper to actually look. So we're going to 86 those. So you don't need to come back and do anything of that there. I will try and remember to edit them out. But just in case I didn't, I will take them off the cutting guide, so. Or if you want to go ahead and do them, go ahead. All right, so at this point, like I've started to do some of my white photo mats just to get those kind of in place before I go back through and do my matting. I did get my cover matting done here, and on my insert, I did, oh, don't tell me I glued it in here. No, you son of a, there we go. Ignore my drama. It's been a night. Okay, so I've got the little wave paper on the one side. I've got white on the other. That's exactly what it was. There was glue on it. And then, so that white really makes those little waves show up on this side, little waves on the back side, fit underneath those little fish just perfectly. I've got my spine, I've got my back cover, and then I just need to go through and mat and decorate the rest of this. If there's anything else like out of the ordinary I end up doing, which yeah, this is why I'm really annoyed with myself, because this is just catching ever so slightly on this pocket, whereas this would not have, because it was thicker, but that's okay. I did kind of trim some of my ribbons down. I think I probably trimmed too much up off of this one. The inside of this pocket, I probably will also do another large white photo mat just to make those waves really stand out. So I had been at an event last weekend, and Cynthia, the owner of Doodlebug, taught an album class, and we had one of the patterned acetate sheets that went in the front of the album, and then the insert that went behind it, she just left white. And I was kind of going, okay, this is odd. And then she explained it's because then you see the pattern on that acetate that much better. And I was like, I had not thought of it that way. So that's most likely what we're going to do here, because it does make that really kind of pop. It's still, just by virtue of it kind of lifting up and you get a little bit of shadow behind it, it still gives it the illusion of movement, and it will do the same thing over here. So that's what we will end up doing over there. All right, if I do anything else weird on the matting, I will come back. Otherwise, this is about it. And you will have, of course, if you've bought the kit, you will have seen the full walkthrough of the project at the beginning of the video. If you bought the kit, you will have the detailed project pictures and your cutting guide and so on and so forth, and your pre-cut cover and spine with that super fun title cut into the spine, and you'll have all of that to go and build your project. As always, thank you for watching. Those who bought the kits, thank you for your support. I appreciate it, and I will be back soon with another one. I got so flustered last night with realizing that this page went in wrong. I completely forgot about our waterfall. So I have the finished waterfall here. I am going to cut, how big is this? That should be good. Just a 1-inch strip of cardstock, because we're going to make this a pull waterfall and it's going to pull out to the side. Okay, so what we want, I have to think for a second because, yes, okay, what I want to do is open it up on this back page, and this is going to attach to the bottom here. Okay, I'm going to go about 1/4 of an inch up, not quite 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/2 an inch up from the bottom. Get some glue on there and attach this one. Make sure you don't have anything leaking out. Okay, so we're going to position it where we want it, and then we're going to glue just on these 2 edges here. Okay, so I am just going to center this up, my 2 edges, and give this a second to dry. This will pull down, hanging onto it just because it's probably not totally dry, but that will pull out like so. This one will close down over the top of it. I did add, I'm sorry, no. These will close in like this. This will close like that. I did end up adding a magnet just because, which even if this was in the correct way, and you may like it better this way, it's entirely up to you. Because of course this was all supposed to be turned the opposite direction. But that's okay. We made it work. But I did end up adding a magnet in here, which that will be in your kit. Not like this, to help hold that whole page closed. Okay.